If you ask someone what kind of government we have, they may say we're a democracy, which is not exactly true. We're a republic which practices representative democracy. We don't all get together to run the government. We elect a few people to do it for us while the rest of us get on with our lives. That's the way it's supposed to work anyway. But unfortunately, a certain group of people, conservatives, keep trying to change the rules to benefit themselves. In the beginning, we were ruled by a distant monarch, and the conservatives were fine with that. They were called Tories back then. But we declared our independence in spite of them and set about forming a new government. The founders were mostly aiming for a representative democracy, but the conservatives got their licks in, and what we really came up with was a timocracy, a government of property owners. In almost every state in the new country, property-owning white men were the only ones who could vote or hold office. This system held sway in most states deep into the 19th century. It should also be said that although some of the earliest colonies had theocratic governments, the founders soundly rejected that concept and built a wall between church and state. I only bring that up because at least a portion of conservatives would be fine with that too. Gradually, others demanded the vote and got it, but by this time a new group of conservatives seized the reins and created a plutocracy, a government run by wealthy industrialists like Rockefeller and Carnegie. We called the time when they held sway the Gilded Age. Fortunately, the progressive hero Teddy Roosevelt busted up their trust, cartels, and monopolies and slapped them with an income tax to boot. They were still fabulously wealthy, of course, just not obscenely so. Women getting the vote helped considerably in this endeavor. Then came the Great Depression, and more of the great fortunes crumbled. But out of that terrible time came a new era of prosperity for the common man, led by the power of trade unions and the financial infusion of the GI Bill. If you missed the 1950s and 60s in this country, I'm sorry. We had a lot to do yet to ensure equality for everyone. We still do. But for a large portion of the population, one income allowed a family to have a house, a car, even an occasional vacation. Poverty wasn't eradicated, but it suffered serious blows. Businesses thrived, and although the rich were heavily taxed, they still got richer. You could call this the liberal era, and you'd be right. Then came Ronald Reagan, who managed to put a corporatocracy in place, in which big business called the shots through their bought and paid for politicians. W and his minions turned the U.S. government into a kleptocracy, even starting 2 wars so rich people could cash in more than usual. And finally, Trump brought us a kakistocracy, in which the worst, least qualified, and most unscrupulous ruled. Clinton, Obama, and now Biden managed to soften the blow during their terms, but the conservatives keep clawing their way back. Now they want to set Trump up as an authoritarian dictator, and unless every Democrat and independent gets out and votes, they have a chance of doing it. The one thing you can count on is, no matter what form of government conservatives eventually come up with, and I'm hoping we never allow them another chance at it, whatever it is, it will never, ever be a democracy.